Driving Culture Forward. This is HYPEBEAST Radio. I'm your host, Majrel Cini, here with my co-host, Kevin Wong.
How's it going?
And we're sitting down with artist, designer, Warren Lotas. Warren, how's it going?
What's going on?
Awesome.
God damn it.
Yeah, man. So right here today, we're inside of Alchemist in Miami. Can you just explain to the people what you're doing here?
What I'm doing here is, we got some stuff. We're selling some stuff. We're painting some stuff. We're going nuts. No, so we got a motorcycle, a 99 Road King, Harley, of course, strictly. And we got it off. Found one around here because I immediately landed, and immediately we had to find this motorcycle because we kind of do everything spur of the moment. So we found one up in North Palm Beach, and of course, like when you do these kind of transactions, like when you get a motorcycle from a third party, not a dealership,
yeah,
you're not gonna know if it has any issues. What if the fucking wheel falls off while you're doing 100 going back to wherever you live? And I did hit 100 on that thing, and I was safe, thankfully. So we got it back here, and then now I'm painting it up. So deal went well. Guy was a little interesting who we bought it from, but never gonna see him again.
Yeah, and so tomorrow you're doing like an archive sale as well.
Yep, for Hammer. So Hammer actually started in last Art Basel. I had this collection, this machine collection that I was doing entirely in New York, and that was kind of like I would call it an experiment. A lot of failure in terms of like getting the hang of the cut and sew process, working with factories, paying for stuff, knowing what to pay for stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's all about that. Because you will get taken advantage of if you don't know what you should be paying. So I had a rough time with that. I came down here, and I was like, well, I want to do something where it's like graphic based on like blanks that I like, stuff that I would wear. So I had an Airbnb, this shitty Airbnb, and I got some screens made locally, which I figured out somehow, and got a bunch of jeans, Levi's. I found a place to get Levi's for super cheap. And I just printed up a bunch of shit, and it was my buddy Austin's idea to sell it all here for $10. And I remember we would go to the actual Levi's store. And I remember buying this Levi's trucker jacket for maybe $120, and a few hours later we sold it for 10. But it was great though, you get those guys in here, they spend $10 on something. They don't give a fuck if they list it for $3,000. So my buddy he's very smart like that. So it worked really well, and it was also hilarious.
Now this isn't your first time working with Alchemist, like you did a mural as well last year.
Yep. I did it on this fucking scissor lift. Working like a dog. My man Roma, I love him. He runs me ragged when I do this stuff, but it always pays off. We always come up with something great, Shop Alchemist. But
for our listeners, they don't know.
But yeah, we got the Cracky Carney vibes. We're doing. It was Roma's idea, I guess, in the 1920s when he was growing up. They had these carnival prizes that were mirrors that they would print a graphic on, like an album cover, I guess, and. Yeah, we made our own. He told me what to do. I got some ink that was special for mirror, and I printed it on there, 2 different layers, and then a hand painted layer, and came out great. So we have that, the mirrors, the motorcycle, and then the archive stuff. So, we got our hands full, and I'm excited for people to come and actually, because rarely do people have the chance to buy the stuff we sell online in person. So. I want to give people a chance to do that before everything goes to stores and stuff like that. So
and seeing your work in person is quite different. It's tactile because you paint right on it. So
exactly.
It's definitely an experience.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what we try. That's what we try to do, man. We try to give the experiences. So it's great because I get to also meet people. Even though it's Miami and. I don't my following is it's small, but it's diverse. It's all over the place, and sometimes it's funny because you'll get these comments. They'll be like, "Yo, bro, you gotta do a pop-up in Siberia," or you know what I mean? The last place where I'd fucking do a pop-up just because there's probably one guy there, probably freezing his ass off, who likes the stuff. And that's, I always think it's classic, you know what I mean? Like, bro, you got to do a pop-up in Istanbul, like it would go crazy. And I'm just like, yeah, sure.
No, but isn't that crazy?
Someday.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy though, just to see like, how far the brand has reached, like since the days that you started it, in your dorm.
Oh yeah. Crazy. It's fucking, I can't believe it, you know what I mean? Like, it's still like, it's never gonna stop amazing me that people know this stuff and actually are enthusiastic about it, as enthusiastic about it as I am. That's never gonna stop amazing me, you know what I mean? And I never really think about it, you know what I mean? And I just want to make the stuff and meet the people that support it. That's everything to me. So, it is crazy. Like, I never would have thought, you know what I mean? Some of the experiences I've had, it's like, what the fuck, man? I can't believe this. I really can't,
What's maybe a moment or a crazy story that you had where you really just thought like, man, I can't believe it's gone this far?
I never really talk about this stuff, but, and, I was maybe a month ago, I was going to visit this girl up in New Hampshire, in University of New Hampshire, and I was
sounds like a good story.
Oh yeah. I was going to meet this fucking girl, and I stopped at a gas station in this fucking East bumfuck nowhere town, probably in New Hampshire, you know what I mean? Middle fucking nowhere. And I go into the convenience store to pay for my gas, and I see this, I'm going towards the convenience store to pay for my gas, and I see this kid, and he's kind of looking at me. I'm like, oh fuck, this guy's gonna try to fucking rob me or something. Yeah. So I'm like getting ready. I'm in fucking defense mode, and he goes like, and the kid just goes, "Is that the boss, Don?" And I was like, I was like, holy shit, this kid, he's living in this town. And if I was a fan of somebody like Clint Eastwood, for example, and I lived in like some little nowhere town in like Arkansas, and I saw him filling up at a gas station, I would be like, holy fuck. But the fact that even happened, I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, and the fact that it's a gas station, a place where people are constantly coming and going and coming and going, and I don't know. That stuff, like I said, it's never going to stop wowing me, and it's always makes me feel good, so.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So let's go back, revisit those early days of like the brand. Like, how long have you been doing art?
Well, I honestly, as a kid I drew like most kids, and I stopped, played a lot of video games and skateboarded, and did a lot of different stuff, and I guess my buddy Steve and Austin, they would come up to visit me in Watertown, right outside of Boston, and they'd be like, hey man, like draw on these Air Forces or something, because I would do these like drawings of Michael Myers and like copying stuff, which is it's how you get better. So I would just be drawing like Michael Myers or like Jason or something, and they would be like, draw these on a pair of Air Forces. So I did that. I was like, okay, it's cool that now, because before that I was playing around with other people's graphics, like taking t-shirts and like kind of doing like an underlay patch and like distressing a flannel and putting the t-shirt graphic underneath, and now it's like, oh shit, now I control the graphics. Like if I get good enough at this, I can imagine something and put it wherever I want it. So I was like, okay, so I kept doing it, and it was very primitive at first. Like I really sucked at drawing, but somehow a lot of people still liked it and it resonated with them. So with that, with the momentum, I kept doing it and getting better. And obviously, like the more you practice, like I swear to God, like if you practice something enough, like you will get better at it no matter what. And I would say even just last year, I look at some of my drawings and I'm like, holy fuck, I can't believe I was like these look like fucking cave paintings, you know what I mean? Like I can't believe it. Like I really practiced and got better. So I'm always improving. I'm never gonna stop. Like there's not gonna be a point where I'm like, all right, I'm done improving and learning for now. I'm always learning and trying to pick up new techniques, and I love knowing how stuff works, and that's going to help you a lot too, understanding stuff. You know what I mean? Like understanding how an embroidery machine works is going to make you a lot better at making things that are meant for embroidery. Right. Even if it's just taking a vector and converting it into like an embroidery file. If you know how the embroidery machine works, then you can create a design that's tailored to be embroidered. You know what I mean? Because it's sometimes they have these little boundaries, and they're like, well, we can't do this, or it doesn't come out how you want it, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So.
Right. At what point did you realize that you can turn your art into a clothing brand?
I started off by just making these flannels with stuff sewn on the back. It wasn't even the underlying patch. It was like just sewn on there. And I was like, I liked it. I liked having control over stuff that I wore. And when I started drawing and I'd also, look at a lot of stuff from like motorcycle culture, because I love bikes. I've been riding since I was probably 17, 18, and
in Boston.
In Boston. Nice. My bike's actually still there at my mom's house. I'm not gonna move it, because if I move the bike, my mom's gonna cry, because it's like I'm really gone. So you know what I mean. I'm living in LA, but I come back as much as I can, like every month, every other month. So I'm not gonna move the motorcycle. It's gonna stay there. I'll get one for Los Angeles. Don't worry about it. So a lot of that stuff. Like I liked how people would like represent, like represent themselves. They, like I'm doing people have been painting on motorcycles probably since they first existed. So I like how people express themselves in that way. And I like the idea of like, having your bike parked outside a restaurant, and they don't even have to see it. They're like, oh, that guy's in there. You know what I mean? Like I can tell because his bike has that on it. You know what I mean? I love that. Like being recognized by something. You don't even have to be there. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so being presented with the opportunity through clothes to present your own story and your own spin on your perspective on clothing and stuff, that birthed Bill by Warren Lotas. Can you explain to the people the inspiration behind Bill?
To the people out there. No, Bill is that's a line dedicated to my uncle. He passed from ALS, and he was a very like creative guy, and he was always doing different things, like birthday cards, where they would always have some clever twist to it, and I just remember his spirit and stuff like that, and it just felt right to name that after him, and having that stuff, the Bill stuff, be the most special, like, because we still do that, like the painted stuff. It's very time consuming, but they're all pieces that I'm very proud of and are kind of like the cornerstones of the brand. Like we have our Bill pieces, and then everything else kind of lives within that. That's at least how I feel about it.
Yeah, and then maybe you can dive into a little bit some of the symbolism that you have in it, or like the characters that you have within each.
Yeah, obviously, there's some skeletons in there. I throw the skeletons in a little bit, just a little bit, but I don't know. I really like just the stuff that's fucking boss.
Yeah,
it's Don shit. You know what I mean? Fucking having a naked girl on the side on your jacket, or like a skeleton with a gun or something.
Yeah,
I always thought that stuff was cool. So I think sometimes I definitely use it as a vehicle to be a little more serious, where it's not just like, oh, this looks sick, let me throw it on there. Like sometimes I use it as a way to be like, maybe I'll try to communicate something that's like kind of I'm thinking about or dealing with at the time, and it's great for that. And like I don't know why the skull kind of hits me in that way, but it just, I don't know, I like drawing people too. It's definitely harder. It's a lot harder, and I'm getting better at it. Like I've always like drawing girls and stuff. Like I think that's also something like I've never really drawn like men before, and I'm trying to do that. It's just a whole different. I think it's a lot easier to draw guys, honestly, because it's like they can look fucking ugly or whatever, and like it's not. I don't know. There are very particular things about the female face and stuff. Like just as a drawer, it's harder for me, and I've definitely been practicing at it and getting like the cheekbones and stuff, because every human has like defining characteristics, and having to kind of like learn about them and study it, and then be able to draw it on paper and not make it look like shit. I mean, I've had so many things that look like shit, especially when I first started drawing like girls and skeletons.
Yeah.
I get the skeleton done, I try drawing the girl, and be like, fuck, it doesn't look anything. I don't know what this is. You know what I mean? So, but yeah.
Yeah, and your unique style, like brought in a lot of fans, but then it also brought in a lot of like, fast fashion brands that have tried to imitate the style and stuff like that. And your response to that was like, your H&M bootleg collaboration. Can you just explain that collection and like, what influenced that?
Of course. Well, I just want to be the first guy to bootleg one of these companies before because Forever 21 took one design I did, and H&M I thought would fit better just because like they didn't, I don't think, at least at the time, they hadn't bootlegged me or anything, but it just was kind of a lot of, like, even Zara, like H&M's just like
the bigger brand.
Yeah, it's boss, and they like their H&M logo. So it's like, all right, I can work with these guys. They steal a lot of people's shit, so they'll probably steal mine eventually. So I was like, all right, and you know what? The way I feel about it is like, if you're doing something original and people are copying it, especially in this business, you just got to get used to it, because you have to be secure in the fact that you're the one with the ideas, and you will continue to create original content, and these other people are just going to wait for your move. And if you're smart, and if you're a savvy business person and an artist, like, you're going to be fine. You know what I mean? Just like, I don't like when people I think people are a lot of people waste time like calling out these big brands that don't give a flying fuck about what they have to say. You know what I mean? Like, and they should just move on and create the next thing, because if they created this other thing, they can definitely do the next one. And then, that's just the nature of this game. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get used to it, or else you're gonna get eaten alive. You got to move fast. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and speaking of like, continuing to like, innovate and move fast, like that's something that you've been doing as well. You presented earlier this year, like, in Paris. Like, how's that? That
was great. It was super. It was a different, like, definitely a different setting. I like I was saying, I love to have the opportunity, like with the showroom, like you get to kind of explain the story behind everything, and I get to bring out the little salesman in me, and that's fun. Like, I'm selling fucking cars, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I have my whole team there, my partner Stowe, and then my creative director Mike Hope. I get to have them all in one place, and we kind of get to talk about all different aspects of the brand, and it's a lot of fun. And it's great to also have kind of like Art Basel, you get everybody in one place. So you get to see friends, meet new friends, and although most of the time I'm in the showroom, hawking my wares. So and then I'll go to bed, because I like going to bed early.
Do you think you'll do like more of that, like, in the future and stuff for the brand?
I think that's probably going to be our main direction. I think we're going to kind of stop with the e-commerce and doing drops, and kind of just shift to wholesale and having things in like brick and mortar and stuff. So
do you ever like, foresee the brand doing like a runway show?
I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that, because it's like this whole kind of thing, like, I feel like I had like in the beginning I was having fun, and then I started working and getting better at it, and then it kind of shifted into this community, and the fashion community or whatever, this like street fashion community. And I don't know, because I don't personally understand runway shows, so I don't know if it would be right of me to do one, because to me they all look fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, you can't wear any of that stuff, or at least I don't know how it works. So probably not, but maybe one for the dons. We'll do one for the dons.
Ride some motorcycles
so the real fellas out there will understand. We'll make one where the fucking fellas, they know what's up. Maybe.
Can you just describe like the feeling of being put into like this new arena? Like, at first it was like being put into like the artist realm, and now it's like the fashion realm, and you are being considered as the designer at this point. Yep. So like how is that?
It's great. I love it. I mean, I love it's the garment industry really interests me more than I don't know. I guess I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but I feel like the garment industry and the fashion industry are two different entities. Like, I like the garment industry more than the fashion industry, because with learning about like the construction of clothes, even if it's not like high-end fashion, like I like learning about these factories and the ones that are pumping out like 300,000 units a month. Like, those kind of places I think are so cool. And like these guys that sell fabric and work at mills, and like, doesn't matter what they're making or who they're making it for. I still think it's I still think it's really important. And if you can kind of bring some of those things to the table and not kind of get caught up in this whole like high-end luxury bullshit, I think you can make a really great product, and you can make a lot more money that way. You know what I mean? Just, I think with a lot of like high-end fashion, people kind of get caught up in these like, oh, well, it has to be like this. Like we have to go to like this kind of like, we have to go to like a nice place to make it. Like,
Right.
Because let me tell you, a lot of these fucking factories, like, well, they have these nice-looking little offices, and they're the fancy flowers and chandeliers, and they'll fucking, you know, they will fucking take full advantage of you when it comes to price. And then you go down the street to some blown-out shithole on the side of the wall with a screen door where you got to knock, and you can barely see the person that comes to the door, and that's the kind of place I want to go to. And if they don't know about fashion or anything like that, the better, in my opinion. You got to, and that's just how I've always liked it, because like, you know, it's just super easy to get taken advantage of, and people want to pay like a premium on peace of mind. They're like, oh, well, this place looks nice. They're definitely going to be able to make like a nice pair of jeans, versus this other place I'm telling you about that could do the same thing for about like 75% less of the other price. But you know, it's a lot of trial and error. Like maybe I wouldn't feel as comfortable going to those places if I hadn't really just taken a leap of faith and tried it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you've not only grown as an artist, but you'll also like learn a lot as a businessman.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I love that stuff. Like I love, you know, I go down to the fashion district. I change. I have a costume I wear actually. I wear a polo shirt. I got like 20 gray polo shirts wholesale. Yeah. And I have my like nice shoes and a pair of black pants. And I look like I don't look like I do what I do. And I go down there and I, you know, do my negotiations or whatever, and they take me more seriously rather than, you know, wearing beat up jeans and like beat up sneakers and like a t-shirt with like a graphic on it, where they're like, oh, this kid, you know, they know these guys are slick, man. These guys are fucking sharks. They will know. They will spot it right away. So I'm not gonna be a fucking sucker. You know what I mean? So I just want to look like I'm, you know, like I'm making clothes for the office, or like I have some boring like I work for fucking Joseph Abboud, or like one of those fucking like those companies that makes dress shirts that they sell at like TJ Maxx. You know what I mean? Like I want to look like one of those guys, because they'll get the best deals. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. On a more serious note, like earlier this year, you wrote like, you know, an Instagram post on your birthday, just talking about like, you know, how last year the same time around, like, you know, you were having doubts about like the clothing brand and stuff like that. What had you like, you know, kept going? What pushed you to keep going?
Well, the challenge of perseverance, you know what I mean? Like I never want to cave in and be like, fuck, like I'm just gonna give up, you know what I mean? That's just not, I would feel crushed for the rest of my life if I gave up. And also, like, once you work for yourself, you will never go back, you know what I mean? And if you go back, it's gonna be like one of the most, you know, stomach churning feelings you'll probably ever experience, because I've been close to it and I felt it, like, you know what I mean? Like, is this gonna work? Like, should I get like a job? You know what I mean? And you just got to keep, because no one, at least coming from like my position, you know, my family growing up didn't have like much money at all. Like, you know, probably like we were like upper lower class or like lower middle class. My dad makes furniture, master cabinet maker, makes beautiful furniture, but it's hard like that. He's an artist, you know what I mean? And being an artist, like, especially when the economy crashed, it's hard for people to kind of justify the money to spend on that. My mom takes care of my grandmother. She takes great care of her. You know, it's her mom, and we all love her, and she lives with us. And you know, and I do it for them. You know what I mean? I do it for my family more than myself. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes, man. I'm gonna do it. Absolutely not gonna stop. If I did, I would be letting down more people than myself. Even if they don't feel that way, I feel that way. I can't let them down.
And a good way that, you know, that we end our podcast episodes with is like, you know, offering, if you were to go back in time and then give the Don, like, you know, the future Don, the future Don some words of wisdom on how, like, you know, he can better like himself both as a designer or even as a businessman. Like, you know, what were some words of wisdom that you would give? Words of wisdom. Don't produce jack shit in New York City, because they will they will charge you out the ass, man. Go straight to LA, Warren. Seriously, Warren, you cannot do shit in New York. The costs are way too high. Go to LA, live in LA. They make shit for way cheaper. You're gonna save a lot of money and a lot of stress. Believe me. And buy Bitcoin.
and Monero. Buy Bitcoin and Monero and some Ethereum while you're at it. And maybe some Sia coin. Yeah, those are all great cryptos.
Hey,
Do you think the
good
key to
advice.
success is like, really being a smart businessman?
Yeah, definitely. You got to, I think you got to figure out what's organic for you. Because if you go into this and you're like, I want to do this I want to do fashion to make money. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? Like, this is the last business you want to go into trying to make a dime. You know what I mean? Like, if it's going to work, it's going to work if you have something that's cool. If you're trying to make money, don't do this. There's not like, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? So I'm fortunate enough that I kind of had an organic start and I grew it organically, and you know what I mean? You just you have to have the combination. You gotta have the passion, but balance that passion out with intelligence. Make the right decisions. Always know your worth, and I mean that in the most positive way possible. Like, if you think you have something that's valuable, then it's valuable, and price it how you see fit. And if you have a painting, let's say, and you want it to sell for $1 million, and you truly believe that it should be $1 million, fucking set it for $1 million. And even if it doesn't sell for years, and then it finally does, then that's what it takes. Set the bar for yourself. You know what I mean? I know I've done it. I know I've done it all my life. You know what I mean? I've been like, well, we need to get here.
Yeah.
We need to get here. And even if it seems unrealistic at the time, if you really worked, and you have to be honest with yourself, like, am I really working hard enough to get this? It will come if you are. I swear to God, it really will. Like, you just gotta make it happen, man. Get up at 5 a.m, go to bed at 9. That's what I do. Believe me, it works.
Yeah.
Words from
Be
the
a
Don.
machine. Be a machine. If I could be a machine, I would.
Words from the Don. Thanks, Warren.
Of course, guys. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks, fellas.
Yeah.